In today's session, we will see who are stakeholders, and in the project initiation group, so far we have seen how to develop a project charter. So now we shall see how to identify stakeholders in a project. Very important. So who is a stakeholder? See, the definition of a stakeholder is defined according to the Project Management Institute. The term project stakeholder refers to any individual, group or organization who may affect or be affected by the outcome of the project. So anybody who is having an influence or in your project, or anybody who has got a stake on your project, they are all called as stakeholders. So we will talk about that. Now stakeholders can either be positive stakeholders, they can be negative stakeholders, they can be internal stakeholders, and they can be external stakeholders. So we will take that flyover example only. When you are constructing a flyover, some people will propose your project. That means they will say, I am going to give the green signal to your project. They may appreciate your project. So all those stakeholders are positive stakeholders because they will be benefited out of this particular project. Some people may not propose your project. On the contrary, they may oppose your project. So they are called as negative stakeholders. For example, when you want to construct a flyover, you have to do the land acquisition. So the land would be owned by farmers, or there would be a lot of shops in the nearby area. So you may have to give notices to those shops, to those business establishments, and you need to move them away from there. So they may certainly not appreciate this project, so they will start opposing it. So they are called as negative stakeholders. Stakeholders can be internal to the organization. Internal means now you are the performing organization. That means you are actually involved in executing the project. So you will have a project team inside your project. So inside the project team, you will have project manager, you will have team leader. Okay, you may have a programmer, you may have test engineer, if I am taking a typical IT project as an example. So all these are stakeholders who are internal to the project. Sometimes there can be stakeholders who are external to the project. Like when you are talking of a flyover construction project, Government of Karnataka would be an external stakeholder because they also will have an influence on this particular project because they are affected by the project. So then you may have other government bodies like KPTCL. Why KPTCL is an external stakeholder? Because even they are affected by this project. How they are affected by this project? Maybe they would have transmission lines in the area where you are going to actually put your flyover. So you have to move those lines and you have to shift those lines. So they are also stakeholders of your project. But they are not internal stakeholders, they are external stakeholders. So who are stakeholders? Basically, stakeholders are those group of people who are affected by your project, and some of the stakeholders may propose your project, may appreciate your project because they are happy with the outcome of the solution you get from the project. So they are called as positive stakeholders, and some stakeholders may not appreciate your project because they find that this project may cause us some difficulty. So they are called as negative stakeholders. And there could be stakeholders who are internal to the project. So people who are working inside the project, all the resource people or the resource persons who are actually working within the project, they are all internal stakeholders. And external stakeholders are government bodies or any other organizations who have an external influence on your project. They are all called as external stakeholders. So this is an simple example of who are stakeholders and the definition of stakeholders. So now I am giving you one small diagram of who and all could be stakeholders in a project. See, you may have suppliers. Suppliers are external stakeholders because if you want to do a project, you may have so many suppliers or vendors. They have to supply goods to you, or they may have to supply technology to you. So they are called as external stakeholders. Okay, now you have trade association. They are also affected by your project. They are external stakeholders. Unions, the business, board of directors, they are also stakeholders because they have a stake on your project. Competitors, consumer advocacy groups, they are also your external stakeholders. Customers are the main stakeholders of your project. Then you have employees, they are within the project, so they are internal stakeholders. Financial community, government, owners. So when you look at this, you can identify some of the stakeholders of your project, and in among these stakeholders you can find some stakeholders may be positive and some stakeholders may be negative. For example, political groups, let's say that one political party will say that okay, let us go and start this flyover. Another political party will oppose it. So that means one party would be a positive stakeholder, another party would be a negative stakeholder. So like this, as a project manager, as a part of the project management activity, it is very important for us to identify all the stakeholders of the project. And we know that in order to identify the stakeholders of the project, we do it in a process group, and that process group is called as an initiation process group. Because in the initiation process group, we already saw one process, which was development of a project charter. Now apart from development of a project charter, we have one more process which is called as identify stakeholders. So identification of the stakeholders should also happen in the initiation stage of your project. Now you can see how do you identify the stakeholders. See, I told you that this identify stakeholders is a process. So in the last class I told you every process will have an input, every process will have tools and techniques, and every process will have outputs. See, create project charter also was one process. It had some input. So we saw what are the inputs of create project charter. You took statement of work, then you took organizational process asset, you took environmental enterprise factors. So they were all actually inputs to the process for developing a project charter. Similarly, to this process for identification of the stakeholders, you need project charter as an input. So you have already developed the project charter, the charter is ready with you. So you will keep that charter as an input in order to identify the stakeholders. Then you have procurement documents. What is that procurement documents? If you can see here, see, suppliers are your stakeholders. So who are suppliers? Suppliers are those who will supply technology to you or who will supply material to you in order to execute your project. If you are doing a construction project, probably you will have a supplier for steel, supplier for cement, supplier for other building materials. So with those suppliers, you should have procurement documents. What is a procurement document? It is nothing but a document which will have a contractual agreement between you and that supplier, like how the goods has to come. If I place an order, in how much time the supplier will supply the goods to you, what will be the quality of service. So all these are actually mentioned in the procurement document. So that itself is also taken as an input when you are identifying the stakeholders. And you have these two in common. This enterprise environmental factors are nothing but the factors which are there in the form of an environment, like political groups, or it could be the political system. For example, they are also stakeholders. For example, in Bangalore or in Karnataka or in India, if you are executing a project, so there are some political groups who will oppose it, there are some political groups who will propose it. But this kind of thing may not be there in other countries. For example, if you are executing a project in Switzerland or New Zealand, once the government basically gives green signal to that particular project, that's it. No political group will come into picture, nobody will oppose it. Okay, that means there the enterprise environmental factors are in such a way that political groups will not have any influence on the project. But in India, per se, political groups have influence on the project. So that is why I call it as enterprise environmental factors. what are the factors which will affect your project. So naturally stakeholders also come there only. So then you have organizational process assets. Like organizational process assets we saw in the last class also, like what kind of team you have, what kind of employers structure you have, what is the team structure you have. All these things becomes an input in order to identify the stakeholders. And to identify the stakeholders, you have some tools and techniques. We have to do a technique called stakeholder analysis. This is a technique, and we have to do something called as expert judgment. So what we have to do, we have to take all these inputs and we have to analyze these documents, and we have to use our expert judgment philosophy and make the list of stakeholders with the help of these documents which we have taken as an input. So if we do that successfully, then we are going to get one output, and that output is called as a stakeholder register. I will show you the format of the stakeholder register and how does it look like. And we'll also have stakeholder management strategy. This is very important. See, one is you need to have a list of stakeholders before starting the project, and second, you need to have a stakeholder management strategy. What is that stakeholder management strategy? It's a strategy which will help you to understand how to manage the individual stakeholders. So we will see that when I show you one power grid matrix. At this point of time, understand that identify stakeholder is one process, and this process falls in the initiating process group. So this process will have some inputs. The inputs are mentioned there, and you are going to use an tool and technique called stakeholder analysis and expert judgment. And after you do that, you are going to get an output, and that output, you are going to get two outputs. In fact, one output is called as a stakeholder register, and the second output is called as stakeholder management strategy. This is what is a stakeholder register. So what is the stakeholder register? You can see you have a project title on the top, so you put the name of the project. Then you have date prepared, who has prepared this stakeholder register. Then there are different columns like name, position, role, contact information, requirements, expectation, influence, and classification. Okay, let's say that you are building one application, web application. So the web application is built for a shopkeeper. So I was taking this example only when we were doing project charter also. So you have a shop, he wants to put all the items online. So what he is supposed to do? He is supposed to develop a web application. So now you have to make the stakeholder register. What is the name of that particular shopkeeper? That name you have to write here. For example, I can write the name as Panish. So the position is the owner of that particular shop. So what is his role in the shop? He maintains all the accounts, he maintains profit and loss statement. So he is whole and sole responsible for both profit and loss for that particular shop. So now you understood the three columns. What is the name, what is the position, and what is the role. Now you can put his contact information. So contact information could be his name and email ID. Now what I will do in the requirements section, I will start adding the requirements. So what is the requirement of that particular owner? So the owner wants you to develop a application software where you are supposed to put all the items online. So what is his requirement? The first requirement is he wants to ensure that products will be put online. That is the first requirement. Second requirement is he wants to ensure that the customer should be able to buy the products online. That is the second requirement. Third requirement is he should have a facility where the customer can pay the amount either from internet banking, debit card, or any other kind of financial transaction. That is the third requirement. So like this, that owner has got multiple requirements to this particular project. So he is one of the major stakeholder, and his influence in the project is very high. because he is the owner of the project, so his influence is very high, and he is a positive stakeholder. Why is a positive stakeholder who comes under classification? Because of the only reason that he is actually proposing your project. So he is telling that I want to implement this particular project. So he becomes a positive stakeholder. So like this you can identify one more stakeholder. For example, you may have an accountant. There could be an accountant in that particular shop. So his position is accountant. What is his role? His role is to maintain all the account details. So he will have the contact information. So he will have his own requirements. What is his own requirements? So this accountant is doing the GST filing, everything manually. Now he will tell, I don't want to do any manual filing anymore. Since you are developing a software, I want software to file the GST filing at the end of the month automatically. And that is his expectation also, and he also has high influence, and he is also a positive stakeholder. So like this, what we have to do, we have to identify all the stakeholders of your project, and then you have to prepare one register called as a stakeholder register. So when you look at the stakeholder register, you will come to know who are the list of people who are involved in this particular project, who could be directly affected by your project. So once this stakeholder register is ready, this register will be signed off. We are going to put the sign off saying that this is the final stakeholder register for this particular project. Now, how did you get this stakeholder register? You got this because you did a process called identify stakeholders. And to identify stakeholders, you had some inputs. So what was the inputs? You had project charter, you had enterprise environmental factors, you had organizational process assets. Then you did one tools and technique called stakeholder analysis and expert judgment. So using that tool and technique, you identified the stakeholders, and after identification of the stakeholders, you created one document which is called as a stakeholder register. Okay. Now coming to what is this stakeholder management metrics. See, now here I am putting 4 quadrants. Okay, now these 4 quadrants are, you can see one is on the x axis where we show interest in the project, and one on y axis where we show influence or power. So we call them as grid. See, now you have keep them satisfied, monitor, engage and consult, and keep them informed. See, now we will look at keep satisfied. Now you have the owner of the project. The owner of the project falls on the topmost grid because he has high power. The power is high. Now what I was trying to tell you is, let's say that we will take a company, your own company, let us take. Now in your company there will be a chairman. Now the chairman of the company will have high power in the organization. Now you are starting one project. In that project, the chairman of the company, he will have not much interest. He may not have interest in the project, he may have less interest in the project, but he will have high power. So he may give 1 or 2 requirements. So you have to ensure that you have to keep him satisfied. So he falls in the first grid. That means if your stakeholder has got high influence in the project, and if he has got less interest in that particular project, you have to ensure that you have to keep him satisfied. In some situations, what happens? You may have a resource who has got less influence in the project and less interest in the project also. Then you have to just monitor him. For example, there could be a research scientist. What is the research scientist doing? He is taking data and is giving to you. His power is less because his capacity in your organization is less, and his interest in the project is also less, but his inputs are really important. So what you have to do, you have to simply monitor him, but you need not keep him satisfied. There is a lot of difference between keeping him satisfied and monitoring him. Similarly, what happens, you may have one more person who has got high influence and high interest. You have to engage him in the project. He has got high influence in the project and he has got high interest in the project also. He is involved in project management activity, he is involved in development. So what happens, you have to engage him and you have to consult him for everything. Suppose if his influence is very less but his interest is more, then you have to keep him informed. So like this, what you have to do, you have to identify who are the people who has got high influence and less interest, less influence and less interest, high influence and more interest, and less influence and more interest. And then you have to put all of them in this particular grid, and based upon this 4 grids or 4 quadrants, you have to keep them satisfied, you have to monitor them, you have to engage and consult them, or you have to keep them informed. So this is called as stakeholder management strategy. How do you manage that particular stakeholder? Understood, Panish? So like this, you have to put them in all the 4 quadrants. So this is called as stakeholder management strategy. Okay, I have given you one engagement matrix. We can also call them as engagement matrix. You can see here, so you have a stakeholder called Ricky Point. His influence is high. So he is responsible for initiation. In planning, he is consulted. In execution, is consulted. In controlling, he is informed. In closing, he is consulted. So I told you that there are project phases: initiation, planning, execution, control, and closing. His influence is very high. So I'll put he is responsible for the initiation. In planning, he is consulted. In execution, is consulted. In controlling the project, he is informed. In closing, he is consulted. Now you can see the engagement level is very high. You find 3 oranges. So the engagement level is very high. So like this, you can make this stakeholder engagement matrix in terms of who is the stakeholder and what is his influence level, and we can write down the various project phases, and also we can write down their engagement level. So this is called as stakeholder engagement matrix or stakeholder management strategy. Both are one and the same. Engagement also means management.